Here's the picture of Oreo that you sent me. I'm going to show you how I'm going to edit it, but I'm basically doing it to show you how to use the selective tool in Snapseed. So what I've got here is I've got it up, and I'm going to show you how you can paste image. So I'm going to hit the download button, the upload button, and I'm going to copy the photo. Then I'm going to go into Snapseed and tap anywhere to open a photo. And then I'm going to hit paste image. And there it is. And first thing I'm going to do is, I didn't think that I needed to do it, but now that I've looked at it a little bit more, I've decided I do want to do a little bit of a rotate on it to make it a little bit, if you look at the top line of the rule of thirds, you'll see that the grid line, the lines in between the blocks are not quite parallel. So I'm going to just give it a little bit of a twist here to make it a little bit more parallel, because I'm going to use that line. It's going to end up being kind of the line above his head is going to end up being, I'm going to use it kind of like to frame out the picture of Oreo. So I want that to be as straight as possible. So that's the reason I'm doing that. And I know it's not very much, but it's just a little something. I think you could have not done that. I don't think it's actually crucial. Then I'm going to go in and do the crop. And I've played with this an awful lot, so I have decided that probably the best crop for this one is either a 5x7 or a 4x3, but I think I'm going to go with a 4x3, and which is what it was originally taken in. And I think you already know that the arrow there will allow it to be from a vertical orientation. We're going to do it horizontally. I'm going to pull it down here, and I'm trying to keep as much as possible, I'm trying to keep his face in the cross the upper left intersection of the rule of thirds lines. So I'm gonna, sometimes it's stubborn on me here, I'm gonna do that. And if you'll notice what I'm doing, I'm trying to make that line above his head. That's kind of like where the blocks are joined together. I'm going to try to make that. Now, the only thing I don't like is I've kind of cut off a little bit of his back foot. So I'm going to extend it out a little bit to try to keep from doing that. And I still have got his face in the right place. I think I'll do it just a little bit more. Okay. So I got it like that. And I'm going to do, I like that, so I'm going to check that, and hopefully that'll be good. Yeah, looks good. Next thing I'm going to do is my usual tonal contrast. I like to do that. I just take the default, so I'm going to take the default and do the check. But now I'm going to go into the little view edits. I think you know already how to do that. I'm going to go into tonal contrast, and I'm going to use the brush to make a selective edit. I'm going to do 100% on his face. Then I'm going to reduce it down to 50 to do his body. Not really crucial to do his body, but I thought, why not? He's got interesting fur. Then I'm going to put it back down to 0 and get rid of any extra stuff, because I don't want the concrete to be more seen any more than what it is. I want that kind of to fade out of the picture here. Okay, then I'm going to do details. So I'm going to do in, and I've done a lot with this, and basically I'll show you, I'm going in to see what happens to his face, because that's where I'm going to do it. And I've done a lot with this, so I already know that I want to go to the structure of about 40. Could probably go more, but that's not really necessary, I don't think. So I'm going to go at 40. And then again, I'm going up to the little papers at the top to view the edits, so I can go in and do the masking and just of his face. Now remember, the eye is blue. If I take the blue off, you can see what it looks like. It's already looking pretty good. So I'm going to take that. Now here's what I really want to get to, is the selective tool. And as it turns out, I didn't realize it, but it does seem to be recording it. Now it does seem to be. Maybe I just didn't see it right. But anyway, you see the little circle with a plus sign. What you're going to do is, that says you're going to, that plus sign means you're going to add a color of which you want to do some adjustments. And what you're going to do is you're going to just tap where you want to do that. And I want to do it in that green, the green area. And I'm having trouble getting it to do it. Seems to work better if I use my thumb. Okay, there it goes. That's what I was wanting to do. You have to just kind of keep playing with it until you get it to do what you want. And that green is pretty bright. And I want to bring the brightness of that and the saturation of that green down. But if you notice, if I move it around, see it changes. Where that red plus sign is the color that it's, where those intersect. That's the color that it's actually going to be working on when you do this. So I go here, that's pretty bright, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to pinch and zoom around that B. And when I expand it out, what it's showing you is the darker red is where it's going to have the strongest impact on whatever instruction you give it. That's going to be the strongest there, and then it's going to fade out where it gets less red. And if you'll notice, that red is only on the upper right. It doesn't do anything on the left side, but we're going to fix that too. But what I want you to see is that B, what it stands for is, if you scroll up and down with your thumb anywhere on the screen, you'll see that at the top it says brightness 0. Then it goes into contrast. Then it goes up to saturation, and then structure. And what we're going to do is, I want to just show you something about brightness. Brightness sometimes will, if you've got like, if you've taken, well, you don't really have autumn pictures there, but if it looks like if you take pictures out in a really bright sun, sometimes it can wash out the colors. And what you can do is you can turn down the brightness, and that will actually add richness to the color. You see how that color changed, got more rich. If you want it, but I can go the other way and make it brighter. It keeps wanting to do this funny thing. It gets stubborn. I can do the brightness, and you see how it changes. It gets lighter. So in this particular case, I'm not really going to do anything with brightness. I just wanted to show it to you. Contrast. Now, if you look at the bricks, they look kind of dirty, like, you know, they've got dirt on them and stuff. If I have to keep touching that, it keeps wanting to go off. I'm touching it in the wrong place. Now I'm using my finger below the picture to change the contrast. Now, if you look at when I turn the contrast down, what are you seeing? The dark gets not so dark, and the light gets not so, it actually tones that down. So that's going to be something that I am going to do, because I do want that to not look quite so dirty. So I can turn that down quite a bit. Let's stick it about 40. Okay. Then I'm going to go up to saturation. That's the big key one. And I can make it more saturated, or I can make it less saturated. And that's what I'm going to do. And in this case, I want to go pretty far. I'm going to go at about 75. It's almost gray, but it's not quite. So I've got it down to minus 72, minus 75, right around there. I don't want to really look at the numbers. I'm just looking until I see it looks like what I want. Structure, I don't want structure. Structure would make it look more sharp and defined, and I don't want detail in the concrete, because I don't want my eye to be looking at the concrete. So I'm not doing anything with the structure. I guess you could actually try to turn this structure down. I hadn't really thought about that. I guess you could make it a little bit less vague. Yeah, we'll do that. But again, I'm going to pinch and zoom, and you can see where it's affecting it. That's where it's going. Okay. Now, as you can see, sometimes when I press it, it do cut, copy, delete, reset. If you hit reset, what it's going to do is, for that particular color that's associated with that circle, it will set all the sliders back to 0. So it's like it didn't exist at all. Or you can delete it. Or you can cut and paste it somewhere else, or you can copy it. Well, in this particular case, what we want to do is copy. So we're going to copy, and we're going to go to the other side, and we're going to touch until we get paste to come up, and then we put in paste. We put that dot in there. And again, I'm going to get my finger on it, and I'm going to try to get the green that I want to subdue. You can see where it's going now. You can kind of get it to overlap with the other one so that you get that pretty uniform. And oh, here, I thought I had all of this stuff turned off. There goes another stupid thing. And see if I can get that out. Anyway, then I want to add another one. I want to do a different color altogether. So I'm going to I press this blue, the circle down there. It wasn't blue before. Now I make it blue. Then I press it where I want it. And then I come in here. The best thing to do is just play with this and learn how to get it. It gets kind of stubborn. Now that green is quite a bit darker. And I just wanted to show you, I'm not going to mess with the brightness on that. Might mess with the contrast a little bit. The best thing to do is just play with the sliders and see what you think. That's already more subdued, so I don't need to have to turn the saturation down so far. Again, I guess I could try turning down the structure. Never really thought about that. And then what I can do now is if I press the eye, I'm holding the eye down, and that takes those little things off, which I like. It takes those away. And the circles and stuff off. And then if I go up here and touch it, the actual picture itself, it'll show you what it looked like before I did the selective color. And I think you can tell it really did a lot. It really changed it quite a bit. And so now if I take off and I'm not holding anything down, I'll have it showing up. Okay? So I think that's good, and I'm going to take that for the selective. A lot of times you're doing this to turn saturation up, like on sunsets or something like that, but in many cases you want to turn the saturation down as well. So now I'm going to do, what I like to do is, now I could go into curves and do soft contrast, but I think what I'll do is I'm going to go into tools and tune image. And in tune image, I use the magic wand a lot instead of fiddling around with it a lot. And it just let me know that what it's doing is it's looking at the histogram, and then it's deciding how to make the optimal histogram. And I don't really know how to do all that, so I just let it do it. And it's showing a brightness of +9. If I don't like what it does, I'll change it, but I like what it does. And you notice that it's added contrast to +21. So it would be basically a lot like if I went into curves and did soft contrast. So it's already doing that for me. It's kind of saving me the trouble. And I don't want to add any more saturation. Ambiance, I might add a lip, maybe I might add 5 or 10. Between 5 and 10, we'll just leave it like that. And I accept that. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to do a vignette. I think we've already done the vignette, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that dot right in the center. I can't seem to get it to stay there. It just keeps wanting to fiddle. There we go. And then I stretch, pinch and zoom, and what it does is it makes the circle of where the vignette is going to be out like that. And I think I'm going to stick with about +36. Now the outer brightness is at -50, which most of the time I think is too much. It's too noticeable. You can tell. I'm going to press, and you can see how much it changes if with it off and then with it on. I think that's okay. Sometimes I do inner brightness, sometimes I don't, but inner brightness, I think I'll add about 5 or something. That's maybe a little too much. It's kind of light anyway, so I don't want to make it too much. Let's go about like that. And we'll do, I just pressed that. I don't know why that went like that. I take that. Now, at this point, I could, I want to show you something else. I want to show you from some frames. I'm going to go down to frames, and one of them that I think might look good on this one is a number 4. And you see where it comes in at, and this frame width adjusts that. And let's say I want to keep it at -10. This is just something I kind of like to do just to make them look good. I've now covered up that line because I now have a frame. If I didn't put the frame on there, I'm going to show you how we can do that separately. I'm going to accept that, and then I'm going to show you that you can stack the frames. So I'm going to go into tools again. This time I'm going to go into frames, and this time I've done this a lot, so I've played a lot. I'm going to use number 13. Number 13, if you look at, I could do number 14 as well. It comes in a lot more, if you see the curves are a lot more rounded. And I could do that, but I don't really particularly like it that rounded, so I like to go with 13. And I adjust that to where that looks kind of decent. Just enough to kind of frame it out. And then I take it like that. Now, what I've got is, I'm going to show you some, this though is what if I don't like that when I put the frame in? And I wanted to, it's cutting off too much of his foot down there at the bottom. So what if I don't like that? Well, I have a couple options. I could go back into my view edits, and I could go back and I could crop it a little bit better. I could crop it a little wider in order to make more room for the frame if I was really set on doing that frame. Okay, but as it turns out, I want to show you something else that you can do. That's probably what I would do in this particular case, is do that. Okay, and then when well, I'll just show you how it works. I'd do that, and then I could go back up through all of them. And then when I get up to frames, I would probably be all right. Now you can't see it because of the silly, there it goes. I hit the arrow up at the top left. Now you see I've still got all of his foot, and that looks better. So that's one solution. Now, what if, this has happened to me several times, what happens if I can't, there's one edge that I just barely got something in, and if I put the frame on and it cuts it off, what do I do? Well, the way you can get around that is, let's say that let's go back to the crop, and let me crop it like I had it, okay? Let me do that. Let me crop it again, more like I had it, and I'm going to show you what you can do. Let me get the crop back in here like I had it. Okay, so if I go in here and I get up here to the frames, and I don't like it because now it's cutting off his foot. Okay, don't like that. Here's what you can do. You can go in and you can do, actually even before the vignette, a tune edit if you want to. It really doesn't matter because you're going to do this. Let's say you go back to vignette, and then you hit the arrow back, and you hit the tools, and you do expand. Now, you can either do it smart, white, or black. Well, I know that I'm going to be putting a white frame there anyway. We could, I can show you what it'll do. Let's do smart and see what it does. Sometimes it does really funky things. That's doing pretty good this time. But I think I'm going to just stick with the white because I want to show you what the white does. I just changed it to white. And then I go out a little bit like this. I go on each side. Okay, do that a little bit. And you can do this expand at any point where you need to. And I take it like that, and now I go back into the view edits because I'm going to want to, I've done the expand. I'm going to put the frame in, put the frames in, back in. And now you see I just barely, I mean, it works. I could have made it a little bit bigger. But by the way, on this particular one, I don't really like the number 4, I realized. I really like better. I'm just showing you what all you can do to change things and how easy it is. I actually like number 5 better. And I'm going to stick with that one. And then go back and put the black one. And there you have it. Okay, now, normally I would go export, save, modify, or save a copy. Well, what I'm going to do this time I'm going to do is save a copy. But what I'm really going to do is I know that this picture is too small to make a good print. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this. I'm going to do open in, and then you see it came up with this thing, and I'm going to do open in big photo. Then I have another thing that says open in big photo. I'm going to hit that again to verify that I want to do that. Now at the very bottom on the right is a little eye with a circle around it. If I touch on that, it's going to give me the general things about this, and it says 321 kilobytes, which isn't very much. It's not going to be a very good print. So I'm just touch anywhere outside of that information. It'll get me back to here. And then the thing next to it, is a, excuse me, I've got the hiccups, is a rectangle with arrows. I'm going to touch that, and that's where I can resize. Now, right now my phone is in the black mode, which I wish it weren't. But in the printer resolution, if you touch inside that printer resolution, it's going to say 300 dpi, 300 dots per inch. And right now, the 300 dots per inch is pretty much the standard printing to get something that you can actually put out for people to see. You're not going to put it on a billboard. It's just going to be on a framed or just shown to somebody or put in a photo album or anything. And what that's telling you is the only way it's not going to be a very good print for anything bigger than the best print size you're going to get is 3.3 inches by 2.5 inches, which is really pretty small. So we want to up this, and if you see where it says scale factor, and there's a little blue line and there's a white circle, if you touch that white circle, I'm going to push it on over, and I could definitely get a good 5x7 out of this by just getting it to about right there. Don't make it any bigger than you really have to, but there you go. Let's see, we can get us about a 5x7. We'll call that good. Okay, so what we did is we increased it 470% pixels, so it's going to be better now. And the original image size was 0.72 megapixels. It is now, doesn't say. Usually it says a maintain aspect ratio. You can see that, I think, but usually it says how many megapixels it is afterwards. Interesting. Didn't do that. It usually does. Okay, so now if I went into my photos, you would now see that it has been added. I had done one before. It's now been added. Here it is. Okay. One thing I want to see is if it actually kept. I'm going to copy that photo, go back in. It's going to look the same, but it's actually a different one because it's a copy. I don't want big photo. I want it in Snapseed. I'm going to open. And it's saying open image. It doesn't think that I've saved the last one because it went into big photo, but it did go into big photo and got saved from there. And I'm just going to paste this image in. Look, like I said, it looks the same just because it's a duplicate, but it is the bigger image. It's the bigger one. No, it's actually the same one. That's right, it's the same one. It's the one that I made larger, but I'm looking to see view edits. Now, if you look at that, it does not have the instructions now. Yeah, that's what I thought. It does not have the instructions for what you did in Snapseed before. So what you can do is save a copy, which I probably should have done. I should have saved a copy and then sent it and then opened it up in big photo, because now we've lost all our instructions and we can't get back to the original photo. So that's a problem. You might want to just remember to do is save a copy before and not open it in big photo. It's probably what I should have done. For right now, that's all I want to show you. Hopefully this one will work out. Hopefully there's sound and everything. You keep in mind